So welcome to the second part of the CA Inter GST amendments class. In the first part, we have completed discussion regarding amendments from the chapters input tax credit, registration, tax invoice, debit notes, credit notes, and e-way bill. Right, ma'am? So now in this class, we are going to discuss about amendments from the chapter returns. Here we have two very important amendments from this chapter. Number one, QRMP scheme, that is quarterly return monthly payment scheme. And number two, extension of due dates for filing of the GSTR 1. Okay, ma'am. These two are the amendments from this chapter, right? Actually, we have only two amendments, but QRMP itself will take a lot of time. Quarterly return monthly payment scheme. Okay, sir. Now, let us start with the very important amendment from the chapter returns, that is QRMP scheme. QRMP scheme, quarterly return monthly payment scheme. Here you can observe, so it came into effect from the 1st January 2021. QRMP scheme, it is introduced, right? And the main purpose of introduction of this particular scheme is to further ease the process of doing the business. Now, sir, quarterly return monthly payment scheme, to whom it is applicable? What is the eligibility criteria? Now, let me explain you with the help of the notes. Chapter 10, returns. Returns under GST. Now we are going to learn a new concept called QRMP scheme. Now look at the eligibility criteria. Right. See, it's purely depends upon your aggregate turnover. Suppose that if your aggregate turnover is greater than 5 crores during the preceding financial year, your aggregate turnover is greater than 5 crores during the preceding financial year. Now, in this particular case, for the current financial year, you have to adopt monthly returns scheme. You have to adopt the monthly returns scheme. It's a normal scheme which is already in existence. So that means under this scheme, GSTR 1 should be filed on monthly basis. GSTR 1 should be filed on monthly basis. Next, and the due date, which you already know, the due date is 11th of the succeeding month or next month, in simple terms, 11th of the next month. And GSTR 3B, also you have to be filed on monthly basis, where the due date is 20th of the next month. So outward supplies return GSTR 1, you have to be filed on monthly basis, due date 11th of the next month. GSTR 3B, right, consolidated return, is to be filed on monthly basis and due date is 20th of the next month. Right, sir. And here the tax payment should also be on monthly basis. Tax payment should also be on monthly basis. This is the normal scheme which we have already know it. Right? So when your aggregate turnover exceeding 5 crores during the preceding financial year, then in the current financial year, you have to follow the monthly returns scheme. You have to file the GSTR1 on monthly basis, due date 11th of the next month. GSTR3B monthly basis, due date 20th of the next month. And the tax payment, you have to be discharged on monthly basis. Next. In case if your turnover is less than or equal to 5 crores, your turnover is less than or equal to 5 crores during the preceding financial year, now here you have two options for the filing of returns. Option 1, you can choose for again the same monthly returns scheme. Right? Option 1, monthly returns scheme, and option 2 is QRMB. Option 2 is a quarterly return monthly payment scheme. So that means from this chart, we can understand one important point. Quarterly return monthly payment scheme is just an optional scheme provided to the taxpayer. Right, sir? So that means if your turnover is less than or equal to 5 crores during the preceding financial year, right, it's not mandatory that you have to compulsorily adopt the QRMP scheme. No, it's not mandatory for you. It is an option given to you. It is an option given to you. If you want to continue with the old system of filing of the returns, that is a monthly returns basis, you can continue with it. Now, if you want to try this QRMP scheme, then you can try it. Clear, sir? So QRMP scheme is an optional scheme only. It's not a compulsory scheme. Here you can observe that point. QRMP scheme is an optional return and filing scheme. Optional return filing scheme. So not mandatory. And this is applicable to the taxpayers who are having the aggregate annual turnover up to rupees 5 crores. Up to rupees 5 crores. Right. So less than or equal to. That's why less than or equal to. Clear, sir? Now, sir, okay, I want to try this QRMP scheme. My turnover is less than or equal to 5 crores during the preceding financial year. So I would like to adopt a QRMP scheme. Very good. Now, in that scenario, you have to file GSTR1 on quarterly basis. GSTR1 on quarterly basis. And what is the due date for the filing of it? The due date is 13th of the next quarter. 13th of the next quarter. Right, sir? 13. If you observe under the normal scheme, the due date is 11th. But under the QRMP scheme, the due date is 13. Sir, why different due dates? There also it is GSTR1 and here also it is GSTR1. Why different due dates? The reason is that to decrease the rush on the website. Basically, majority of the GSTR1s will be filed by the taxpayers on due date. The due date is 11th, they'll file only on 11th. Majority of the cases. So that's why the rush on the website is very heavy on the due dates. That's why you might have observed, right? So on due date, that website may be hanged, the server will be down. These kind of technical problems we will face. So that's why in order to decrease the rush on the website, now the GST Council has come up with a different due dates. Clear, sir? Next. So then what about GSTR 3B? GSTR 3B also, you have to file on quarterly basis. And the due date is 22nd for some of the states and 24th for some of the states of the next quarter. So you have given the list of the states for which the 22nd date is applicable, for which 24th is applicable. Right? In theory, we have that list of the states, then we will discuss it. So under the normal scheme, you can observe the due date is 20th. The due date for the filing of the GSTR 3B is 20th. But under the QRMP scheme, it is 22nd for some of the states and 24th for the remaining states. So again, the reason being different due dates is to decrease the rush on the website. Clear, sir? So GSTR 1 quarterly basis, due date 13th of the next quarter. GSTR 3B quarterly basis, due date 22nd and 24th of the next quarter. But sir, what about the payment of tax under QRMP scheme? Payment of tax. How the payment of tax will be done? See, whether you are following normal scheme or whether you are following QRMP scheme, the payment of the tax should be done on monthly basis only. So the tax should be paid on monthly basis. Tax should be paid on monthly basis. But how come, sir? Like I opted for quarterly basis. No, QRMP scheme. I'm going to file the GSTR 3B once in a quarter. Right. So generally, the payment of the tax will be happen only when we are filing the GSTR 3B. Right. We've already discussed that there are no separate due dates for the payments of taxes. Right. Normal scheme we have seen. Right. So whenever the taxpayer filing the GSTR 3B, right, he will from the GSTR 1, he will get that output tax liability. From the GSTR 2, he will get the eligible input tax credit. Right. After discharging the output tax liability with the help of the input tax credit, whatever the output tax liability left over, that will be paid through e-cash ledger. And after the payment of that liability, he will finally ultimately file the GSTR 3B. So that's why the due date for the filing of the GSTR 3B is ultimately becomes the due date for the payment of the taxes. No separate due date for the payment of taxes under GST. That's we have already learned it. Right, sir? So in that case, when I opted for the QRMP scheme, when I'm going to file the return once in a quarter, for every 3 months, I'm going to file one GSTR 3B. So that means for every 3 months, I'm going to pay the tax at a time once. No. Department given the option you to file the returns on quarterly basis, but not the payment of tax on quarterly basis. Are you following, sir? Right? See, QRMP scheme introduced for the further ease of doing the business, reduce the compliance burden on the taxpayer. Sir, how come this QRMP scheme reducing the tax burden on taxpayer? Sorry, reducing the compliance burden on taxpayer. Simple, no. Earlier, you need to file the GSTR 1 on monthly basis. Now, quarterly basis. Earlier, you used to file 12 GSTR 1s. Now, it's enough to file 4 GSTR 1s. Instead of 12 GSTR 1s, it is now 4 GSTR 1s. Now, earlier, you used to file the 12 GSTR 3Bs. Now it is enough to file 8 GSTR 3Bs. So complaints burden on the taxpayer reduced or not? Right. But the tax payment should be made on monthly basis only. So how? Under the QRMP scheme, though you opted for QRMP scheme, the tax payment should be made on monthly basis only. How it is going to be? Let us take an example. Sir, for the first quarter of financial year 2021-22, I have opted for QRMP scheme. So first quarter, Means the first month is April 2021. April 2021. Now the tax liability of this April 2021, I have to be discharged. Now for the payment of taxes under QRMP scheme, due dates were furnished. 25th of next month. So after April, which month comes ma? May. So on or before 25th of May, I should pay the tax liability of the April month. Now, for May 2021, the tax liability of the May 2021, I have to be discharged on or before 25th of June. Now, the last month of the first quarter, June 2021, the tax liability of this particular June 2021, I have to be discharged on or before 22nd or 24th of July. Why, sir? Why the due date has changed for the last month of the quarter? Because anyhow, you are going to file the GST or 3B in the last month. Right, sir? For every 3 months, you have to file the GST or 3B on a quarterly basis. So the first quarter ending with June. So that's why for June, the payment of tax due date will be the due date of the GST or 3B of that particular quarter. Are you following, everyone? So first 2 months, the due date is 25th of the succeeding month, next month. And the last month of the every quarter, the due date will be the due date of the GST or 3B. Everyone following now? Any doubts? Next. So the first 2 months tax liability, whatever we are discussing here, this tax liability, you have to be discharged through e-cash ledger. That means after utilizing the eligible input tax credit balance, the remaining amount of your tax liability should be deposited into the e-cash ledger. Should be deposited into your e-cash ledger. You have to deposit. You have to deposit. Suppose that let's take an example. Let's take an example. April month, your output tax liability, let us assume that you got 1,000 rupees and eligible input tax credit. Let us say that you have an input tax credit of 60 rupees or 600. So net tax liability 400. Now this 400 you have to discharge through e-cash ledger. E-cash ledger. Right, sir. Now for the month of May, output tax liability, let us say again 1,000 rupees. Eligible input tax credit 600 you have. The remaining 400 you have to deposit into the e-cash ledger. Right, sir. So then what about the June month? Anyhow, June month, right? You will take into consideration of the turnover of that entire quarter, your entire output tax liability. So for how much amount you have deposited into your electronic cash ledger, that amount will be debited to, right, your output tax liability. Accordingly, the net balance you need to pay. That's it. Are you following, sir? So your ultimate output tax liability will be calculated in the month of June. From that output tax liability, whatever the amount you have paid through electronic cash ledger for the first 2 months, that will be deducted. Only the remaining balance you have to pay. Clear? Next. So then how to calculate this tax liability? Anyhow, I am not filing any return for April month and May month. I am going to file GSTR1. I am going to file the GSTR3B only for the last month of the every quarter. Now, how to determine my tax liability for April and May? How to pay that tax liability? Right here for the options for the making of monthly payment of tax, the department given you 2 options. Now, let me tell you the 2 options for the payment of monthly payment of tax. Options for making monthly payment of tax. As I said, no, sir, you have two options. The department has given you two options. Number one, self-assessment tax. Number two, fixed sum method. Fixed sum method. Now, sir, what is this self-assessment tax method? Self-assessment tax method. So that means you have to calculate your tax liability on your own. And then whatever the tax liability you got, that you have to be deposited into your electronic cash ledger. So tax liability should be calculated by the taxpayer on his own. Self-assessment. You know, just now, whatever we have discussed example here, it is self-assessment tax. You have calculated your tax liability, 100 rupees, my output tax liability. Right, I got input tax credit of 60 rupees. Right, so my net tax liability 40. That 40 you have to deposit into electronic cash ledger. Self-assessment tax. But sir, you said this scheme is introduced for reducing the compliance burden. Again, you are asking me to calculate the tax liability of my own, right? Self-assessment. How come it is reducing my compliance burden? Okay, that's why department also given you the second option, fixed sum method. Fixed sum method. So that means here, the department give you a particular calculation. So department said, okay, under fixed sum method, your tax liability would be 35% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger. 35% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger in the preceding quarter. In the preceding quarter. 35% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger in the preceding quarter. And this option you have to be follow when in the preceding quarter, the taxpayer chooses the quarterly returns scheme. Right. So this particular calculation applicable when the taxpayer has filed the returns on quarterly basis. On quarterly basis during the preceding quarter. During the preceding quarter. Right, sir. So that means look at this example. We have discussed about the first quarter of the financial year 21-22. Now for this first quarter, what is the preceding quarter? Preceding quarter is Jan to March. Jan to March. So for April, May, June quarter, the preceding quarter said to be January, February, March. Now in this particular quarter, assume that the total tax paid by you through e-cash ledger, suppose that 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees. The total tax paid during that particular quarter through electronic cash ledger, 1,000 rupees. Now that means now in the current quarter, when you chosen for the QRMP scheme for the month of April, right, you have to pay a minimum tax of 1,000 into 35%, 350 rupees. In the month of April, 1,000 into 35%, 350 rupees. In the month of May, what is 1,000? The total tax paid during the preceding quarter through e-cash ledger. Now, in the total tax, take 35%. And that 35% minimum you have to pay for the first 2 months of the current quarter. For the first 2 months of the current quarter. Are you following, sir? Right? And when this applicable? When you opted for the fixed sum method and in the preceding quarter you filed the returns on quarterly basis. Or in case you'll get a doubt here, sir, what if the case if taxpayer filed returns on monthly basis during the preceding quarter? This is where in the preceding quarter he opted to file the returns on quarterly basis, then tax liability is 35% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger in the preceding quarter. Right? This tax liability you have to be paid for the first 2 months of the current quarter. Now, in case if the taxpayer filed the returns on monthly basis during the preceding quarter, now how to calculate tax liability of the first 2 months in the current quarter? In that scenario, tax liability is equal to tax liability is equal to 100% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger during the last month. %100% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger during the last month. So last month of the preceding quarter. Last month of the preceding quarter. So that means in this particular example, if you look at in this particular example, sir, right? So for April, the preceding month is March. Now you just look into the only March month tax liability, which is paid through e-cash. Sir, March month liability, which is paid through e-cash. Let us suppose that some 300 rupees. Now that means for the month of April and May, minimum you have to be paid through e-cash ledger is 300 rupees. You have to deposit that amount into e-cash ledger for the month of April and May, the first 2 months of the current quarter. So while discharging of the tax liability for the first 2 quarters of the current quarter, when you opted for the QRMP scheme, you have 2 options. What is the 2 options, ma? First one, you have self-assessment tax. Self-assessment tax. Right? You have to calculate your tax liability on your own, discharge that amount. Pay that amount through e-cash. Pay that amount through e-cash. E-cash ledger. No, I don't want to make all the calculations. I would like to opt for fixed sum method. Now, what will be the fixed sum? Look at in the preceding quarter, whether you file the returns on quarterly basis or monthly basis. Sir, I filed on quarterly basis. Okay, fine. Very good. Now, the tax liability of the first 2 months of the current quarter is equal to 35% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger in the preceding quarter. So take the preceding quarter, total tax paid through e-cash, take the 35% out of it, and that will be your minimum tax liability, which should be deposited into e-cash ledger for the first 2 months of the quarter. What is the due date? 25th of the following month. For April, 25th of May. For May, 25th of June. Clear? No, sir. Actually, in the last quarter, I have filed the returns on monthly basis. Okay, fine. Very good. No problem. In that scenario, tax liability is equal to tax liability of what? Tax liability of the first 2 months of the current quarter is 100% of the tax paid through e-cash ledger during the last month of the preceding quarter. Clear, sir? Next. Sir, in case, okay, first let us see this part, theory along with examples. Up to this part of the theory, you can check out here. QRMP scheme is an optional scheme and applicable to the taxpayers who are having the aggregate turnover up to 5 crores. Now, in that scenario, they have to furnish their GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B on a quarterly basis, but they have to discharge the tax liability on monthly basis. Clear, sir? Next. Now, this will significantly reduce the compliance burden on such taxpayers, because right now they need to file only 4 GSTR 3B returns instead of 12 GSTR 3B returns in a year. Similarly, they are required to file only 4 GSTR 1 returns. Earlier, we used to file the 12 GSTR 1 returns. Clear, sir? Next. This provision, I'll explain later after 10 minutes. Now, before that, going for the QRMP scheme eligibility, we have discussed an aggregate turnover up to 5 crores during the preceding financial year. Right, sir? Now they can opt for the QRMP scheme. Next. So they can furnish a return for every quarter from January 21 onwards, and they have to pay the tax every month. Clear, sir? Next. Conditions. So whoever opting for the QRMP scheme, they must have furnished the return for the preceding month. Right. Sir, suppose that for the month of April 2021, I would like to opt for QRMP scheme for the first quarter of this 21-22 financial year. So in order to get the eligibility, first I must have furnished March month return, March 2021 return. So in the April month, for April to June, you would like to adopt QRMP scheme. First, the department will ask, how during the preceding month, March month, have you filed your GSTR 1 within the due date or not? Yes, sir. Have you filed your GSTR 3B within the due date or not? Yes, sir. Have you paid the tax liability of this particular month? Yes, sir. Okay, fine. Now in the current quarter, April to June, you are entitled to QRMP scheme. Right, sir. In case if the preceding month or if the preceding quarter return have not been filed by you, now in the current quarter, you are not entitled to opt for the QRMP scheme. You can check out here. In case if the registered person shall not be eligible for opting for QRMP if he has not furnished the last return. Clear, sir? You can check out here. If the registered person intending to avail the QRMP scheme for the quarter July to September, that means he must have filed the June month return within the due date. Clear. Now for the month of June, what will be the due date of filing of the GSTR 3B? You have seen, no, 22nd to 24th. Right? He must have furnished the return for the month of June, which was due on 22nd or 24th of July. Are you following, sir? Right. Next. Right. Now, registered persons under QRMP scheme, they are not required to exercise this option every quarter. By default, it will continue. Until your turnover crosses 5 crores. As long as your turnover well within the limits of 5 crores, by default, every quarter, you can exercise this option of QRMP scheme. Right, sir. Next. Because you can see here, once that option has been exercised, they shall continue to furnish the return as per the selected option for the future tax period. Clear, sir? Unless and until you revise your option, by default, this QRMP scheme continues. Clear, everyone? Next. Manner of exercising this option. Right. That means, let me explain you with this help of the notes. Manner of exercising this option. Let's take an example, sir. Example. So now for the first quarter of financial year 21-22, for the financial year 21-22, I would like to adopt QRMP scheme. I would like to adopt QRMP scheme. Now, what is the time limit for adopting this scheme? Time limit. You have to adopt this scheme within the dates between 1st February 2021 to 30th April 2021. Now, within these dates, you have to exercise this option. Means, for a particular quarter, if you want to adopt QRMP scheme, you have to exercise this option between the first day of second month of preceding quarter to last day of first month of last day of first month of present quarter. So this is a time limit in which you have to exercise the option of QRMP scheme. So for whatever the quarter you have to you want to adopt this scheme, there is a time frame within which you need to exercise that option. Within the time frame only you have to exercise that option. What is the time frame? First day of the second month of the preceding quarter. For April to June, that is the first quarter, April to June, what is the preceding quarter? Preceding quarter is said to be the Jan to March. Now, in this particular quarter, what is the second month? February, January, February, March. So February is the second month. So first day of the second month of preceding quarter. So 1st February 2021 till last day of the first month of present quarter. What is the present quarter? April to June. What is the first month? April month. What is the last day? 30th April. Within this particular time limit, this is a time limit for exercising the option of QRMP scheme. Clear, sir, everyone? So that's what I explained in the manner of exercising this particular option. Right, you can see here a registered person who intends to opt for QRMP scheme for any quarter, he has to indicate his preference for furnishing the returns on a quarterly basis from first day of the second month of the preceding quarter till the last day of the first month of the quarter for which the option is being exercised. And that means for the current quarter. Clear, everyone, sir? Right. The example which we've already discussed. Next. Where such option has been exercised once, the registered person shall continue to furnish the return on a quarterly basis for the future tax periods. So once you opted for the QRMP scheme, by default, the option scheme will continue, right? As long as your turnover well within the limit of 5 crores. That means, sir, during the financial year 21-22, suppose that my turnover exceeded 5 crores in the month of November, then what happens? Right. That means, let me tell you with the help of example. For the financial year 2021-22, first quarter, you opted for QRMP scheme as your turnover is less than 5 crores. Second quarter, still you continue with the QRMP scheme. Cumulatively, that means the turnover from April month till September month. Cumulatively, the turnover is well within the limits of 5 crores. So you opted for QRMP scheme, continue with the QRMP scheme. But in the third quarter, suppose that in the month of November, your turnover crossed 5 crores ceiling limit. Your turnover crossed 5 crores ceiling limit. Then how, sir? I cannot continue under QRMP scheme anymore, because the condition is that as long as your turnover is well within the limit of 5 crores, till that particular period, you can continue under the QRMP scheme. After that, you have to automatically, by default, you have to convert into the normal scheme. But sir, my turnover crossed mid of a quarter. I mean third quarter now. Third quarter means October, November, December. In the November month, my turnover crossed 5 crores. Then what shall I do? Okay, don't worry. The quarter in which your turnover exceeded 5 crores, still for that quarter, you can follow QRMP scheme. You can follow QRMP scheme. But for the fourth quarter, you have to compulsorily convert into the monthly scheme. For the fourth quarter, you have to convert into the monthly scheme. Right, sir? So once you opted for QRMP scheme, look at your turnover. As long as is well within the time limits of 5 crores, continue with QRMP scheme. Right? Whenever it is exceeded 5 crores, from the next quarter onwards, you have to file the returns on monthly basis, pay the tax on monthly basis. Follows everyone? Clear, sir? Next. So that's what explained in these 2 points. Next. Option of QRMP scheme to labs. Just now we discussed. Right, sir? So where a registered person's aggregate turnover crosses 5 crores. Aggregate turnover crosses 5 crores during a particular quarter of the financial year, he shall not be eligible for furnishing the return on quarterly basis from the first month of the succeeding quarter. And that particular quarter in which your turnover exceeded 5 crores, crossed 5 crores, for that quarter you can follow QRMP scheme. But from the next quarter onwards, compulsorily you have to follow the monthly scheme. Clear, everyone? Right, sir? Next. Form and manner of furnishing of the details of outward supply, GSTR 1. Right. Now, sir, as per the QRMP scheme, we discussed that GSTR 1 have to be filed through quarterly basis. Just a second, sir.
Right, sir. So while you opted for the QRMP scheme, sir, you have to file the GSTR 1 on quarterly basis. Right. Sir, this QRMP scheme is introduced for the ease of doing of the business. Very good. It is a beneficial option for the supplier, taxpayer. But sir, what about the recipients? What's wrong with the recipient then? So recipient who wants to claim the input tax credit on monthly basis. How can he claim input tax credit? Basically, the recipient will claim the input tax credit, and that eligibility criteria is purely depends upon the invoices furnished by the supplier in his GSTR 1. When supplier furnishes the invoice in GSTR 1, the same will be reflected in the GSTR 2A of the recipient, based on which the recipient will claim the input tax credit. Yes, sir. You already know this point, no? How come this input tax credit structure continues here? Generally, supplier. So as and when he files the GSTR 1, when he furnishes the invoice details in his GSTR 1, Then in the books of accounts of the recipients common portal, generally in the recipients common portal, GSTR 2A will be generated. GSTR 2A, right? It will shows the eligible input tax credit to the recipient based on which he will claim that input tax credit. Right, sir? Right. We have seen one example as well. If you remember in the last class, we have discussed one example, like, totally, I am a recipient, sir. Assume that I'm a recipient. I have purchased the goods from, let it be, some 10 suppliers. I have purchased the goods from 10 suppliers. Right, sir? And the total input tax credit is, let us assume that 1000 rupees. But out of the 10 suppliers, assume that only 8 suppliers filed GSTR 1. And the input tax credit attributable is 800 rupees. Input tax credit attributable 800 rupees. Now in this scenario, sir, what is the eligible input tax credit the recipient can avail? It is 800 rupees plus 5% of 800. That is equal to 840 rupees. We know it, no? In the last class, the first amendment itself, it is, right? We have discussed, right? 100% of the input tax credit attributable to the invoices uploaded plus 5% of the input tax credit attributable with respect to the invoices uploaded. Totally 840 rupees. The maximum input tax credit the recipient can avail. But this is possible when the supplier furnishes the invoices in his GSTR 1 monthly basis. But when a supplier chooses for QRMP scheme, he will file the GSTR 1 on quarterly basis. So April, May, June, for these 3 months, he will file the GSTR 1 on or before 13th of the July. And that means the recipient who bought the goods from the supplier in the month of April, he has to wait till 13th of July. Because that is the due date for the filing of GSTR 1 for the first quarter by the supplier. So for these 3 months, the supplier filed the GSTR 1 on 13th of July. Suppose that I am being the recipient, I bought the goods from the supplier on very first day of the April month. So the recipient who bought the goods from the supplier in the month of April, he has to wait till the month of July. Right? It's a, it's a harsh provision on recipient. Those whoever wants to claim the input tax credit on monthly basis, they will pressurize the suppliers. Supplier file the GSTR 1 immediately, then only I become eligible for input tax credit. Then only I can claim 100% of my input tax credit. Right? So the recipients keep on pressurize the supplier for the filing of GSTR 1. So that's why, the department has come up with an option called IFF, Invoice Furnishing Facility. Invoice Furnishing Facility. Now, the supplier has the option, right, for furnishing the details of outward supplies. His option having the option of filing GSTR 1. By filing the GSTR 1, he can furnish the details of outward supplies, or by using the IFF, Invoice Furnishing Facility. Invoice Furnishing Facility. So as and when the supplier furnishes the supplies details, outward supplies details by using IFF, immediately the details will be available to the recipient in GSTR 2A. In GSTR 2A. And based on which the recipient can avail the input tax credit. Are you following, sir? So for the first 2 months of the quarter, for the first 2 months of the relevant quarter. So the supplier can furnish the details of the invoices by using the IFF, invoice furnishing facility. As and when the supplier furnishes the details into the IFF, then the details will be reflected in GSTR 2A of the recipient, based on which the recipient can avail the input tax credit. As simple as that. Sir, what about the third month? Anyhow, for the third month, the supplier will file the GSTR 1, third month of the relevant quarter. For the third month of the relevant quarter, anyhow, the supplier filed the GSTR 1. Supplier files the GSTR 1. Immediately, the same will be reflected in the GSTR 2A of the recipient. As simple as that. So manner of furnishing the details of the invoices for the first 2 months. The supplier can furnish the details of the invoices of the first 2 months by using the IFF facility, invoice furnishing facility. And for the third month, anyhow, he will file the GSTR 1. He will file the GSTR 1. Are you following, everyone? Right, sir. Next. Sir, here the recipient becomes entitled to claiming of input tax credit to the extent whatever reflected in the GSTR 2A. And the amount will be reflected in the GSTR 2A as and when the supplier furnishes the GSTR 1 or IFF, invoice furnishing facility. But sir, if you look at the GSTR 1 due date, the due date which we have already discussed, 13th, the due date for the furnishing of the GSTR 1, 13th of the succeeding quarter. 13th of the succeeding quarter. Right, sir. And that means the recipient has to wake up till 13th midnight up to 12 o'clock. Because, you know, GSTR 2A, the details will be updated as and when the GSTR 1 updated by the supplier. Suppose that on 10th, some invoices uploaded into GSTR 1. The details will be reflected in GSTR 2A. On 11th, some more invoices uploaded. 12th, some more invoices uploaded. So as and when the supplier uploading the invoices into the GSTR 1, the GSTR 2A will automatically changes. Now the recipient will get confused. Okay, what is my ultimate input tax credit eligibility? To know this, he has to wake up till midnight of the 13th. No, it's okay, fine, sir. I can look into it on the 14th of the morning. Morning 10 o'clock, you wake up at the 14th. You have checked out in your GSTR 2A, it is reflecting an input tax credit balance of 2 lakhs. You have claimed 2 lakhs as input tax credit. But suppose that of that of 2 lakhs or 50,000 input tax credit added to GSTR 2A because of some invoices uploaded by your supplier on 14th of early morning. 14th early morning, he wake up at 8 o'clock, supplier. He added some invoices into his GSTR 1. That will be reflected into your GSTR 2A. So that means for the last month, last quarter, your entitlement is only 1,50,000. But you claimed 2 lakhs. There is a problem. So that's why you have to wake up till 13th midnight to look what is your ultimate eligibility of input tax credit. But that's practically not possible, sir. So that's why department come up with a new form called GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B. Now the recipient has to claim the input tax credit based on GSTR 2B. Now the recipient has to claim input tax credit based on whatever the input tax credit reflecting in the GSTR 2B. It's a new form. It's a new form. And when this GSTR 2B will be generated? 14th of next month. 14th of next month. So once till 13th midnight, the supplier uploaded the invoices into GSTR 1 in his GSTR 1. He filed the GSTR 1, right, sir? Right. So after the supplier files the GSTR 1, then this GSTR 2B will be generated. It's a read-only document. It won't be changed. Whatever the input tax credit showing into GSTR 1, that will be full and final, fixed. It won't be changed. It won't be changed. Are you following, sir? GSTR 2A is not like that. GSTR 2A changes with the changes in GSTR 1 of the supplier. As and when supplier adding invoices into GSTR 1, your GSTR 2A will changes. It keeps on changing. But GSTR 2B is not like that. It will be generated only once in a month. Suppose that for the month of April, it will be generated on May 14th. May 14th. For the month of May, it will be generated on June 14th. Clear, sir? Are you following now? Right? So GSTR 2B. Right? So this is a manner, sir. You can check out here. Manner and furnishing of the details of outward supplies. I have said all, the details of outward supplies are required to be furnished in the form number GSTR 1 for the month of the quarter. And the second option you have invoice furnishing facility. Taxpayers who opted for QRMP scheme may furnish the details of outward supplies as he may consider necessary for the first and second month of the quarter using IFF, invoice furnishing facility. And with respect to the last month of the quarter, that will be uploaded in the GSTR 1. You have seen, no, sir, for the first 2 months, right, he has to file, he can upload the invoices by using the IFF facility, and for the last quarter, GSTR 1. Clear, sir? Here we have seen for the first 2 months of the relevant quarter, he can furnish the details of outward supplies by using IFF, and for the last month of the quarter, GSTR 1. Clear, sir? Next. The facility of furnishing the details of invoices in IFF has been provided. The main objective here is to allow the details of such supplies to be duly reflected in the GSTR 2A and in the GSTR 2B of the concerned recipient, based on which the recipient can claim the input tax credit. Clear, sir? Right? Next. So in cases where buyer has made purchases from a registered person opting for QRMP scheme, he could not have claimed the full input tax credit. But due to introduction of IAF, such delay will not be occur, because on timely basis, we are uploading the details of invoices into IFF, based on which the recipient can claim the input tax credit. But here, one more important point, using the IFF facility, the maximum details of invoices which you can enter is only up to rupees 50 lakhs. Right? You can observe here, IFF facility for the first month of the quarter and second month of the quarter. And the maximum details, of invoices which you can enter into the each month is 50 lakhs. So for the first month of the quarter, you can enter up to 50 lakhs worth of invoices. For the second month of the quarter, you can enter up to 50 lakhs worth of invoices, not more than that. Sir, in the first month of the quarter, my turnover, let it be 1 crore. Still, by using IFF, you can enter the details of the invoices up to 50 lakhs. Sir, what about the remaining amount? That will be, you have to be uploaded while filing the GSTR 1 at the end of the quarter. Clear, everyone? Right, sir? Next. So you can upload the invoices by using the IFF from the first day till the 13th day of the succeeding month. In 13 days, you can enter the details into the IFF of the preceding month. Because on 14th, the GSTR 2B has to be generated. GSTR 2B will be generated, sir. Okay, now next. And IFF option, it's not mandatory actually. It is just an optional facility is given. Right, sir? If you want to furnish all your invoices details by using GSTR1 at the end of the quarter, you can do so. You can do so without using IFF. You can directly file the GSTR1 for that particular quarter at the end of the quarter. Now, if your recipients are pressurizing, then by using the IFF facility for the first 2 months, you can furnish the invoices. Clear? Next. It is option. The registered person may choose to furnish the details of outward supplies in form number GSTR1 only without using the IFF. Next, if IFF is used, the maximum details of invoices you can be entered into IFF is only 50 lakhs. Clear, sir? And this first day of the succeeding month till the 13th day of the succeeding month, which we have already discussed. Next. So this said facility would, however, available, say for the month of July. It will be available from 1st August till 13th of August, because on 14th of August, GSTR to be generated. Clear? For the month of August, it will be available from the 1st September till 3rd September, because for the month of August, GSTR to be should be generated on 14th of September. Clear, everyone? Next. Sir, for the first 2 quarters, I have furnished the invoice details by using IFF. Now, will I be again enter the details of the same invoices while I am filing the GSTR1? Not required. You already entered the invoices into IFF now. The same details you need not be entered into the GSTR1 again. Clear, sir? Next. So look at that example. A registered person who availed the QRMP scheme, he wants to declare 2 invoices out of the total 10 invoices in the first month of the quarter, since the recipient wants to claim the input tax credit, right? That 2 invoices details you can be furnished by using the IFF. And the remaining 8 invoices you can be furnished in the form number GSTR1 of the said quarter. Clear, sir? And the 2 invoices details which you furnish through IFF, no, that will be reflected in the GSTR2B. And the remaining 8 invoices, right, that will be you have furnished by using the GSTR1 reflected in the form number GSTR2B of the consent recipient of the last month of the quarter. Okay, sir. Next. And these points were all common points which we have already, regular points only, sir, which we have already discussed in our regular classes. Like, when we are uploading the details of invoices into the GSTR1 or now IFF, what are the details to be entered? When it comes to B2B transactions, invoice-wise details, you have to enter all the intrastate outward supplies, interstate outward supplies, invoice-wise, you have to furnish. If any debit notes or credit notes issued during that particular month, you have to mention invoice-wise. Clear, sir? Next. No, I am not going through IFF route. I would like to enter all the details of outward supplies once in a quarter in my GSTR1. There are no recipients pressurizing me for utilizing the IFF option. In that scenario, I can go with the GSTR1 of the quarter, sir. Again, in GSTR1, what are the details of invoices to be entered? Again, same. Invoice-wise details of all B2B transactions, intrastate, interstate, and invoice-wise details of all the debit notes and credit notes issued. These are all the common points which we have already learned in our regular classes, right, sir? And when it comes to, B2C transactions, whenever you make transaction to an unregistered person, we have a details of like up to consolidated details up to rupees 2,50,000. That are all the general points which we have already discussed, not a new point to discuss here. Next. Cases where a registered person shall not be allowed to furnish the details of outward supplies in GSTR1 or IFF. So whenever you're not complying with the provisions of the law, whenever you contravene the provisions of the law, then in that scenario, you don't have the option to furnish the details of your outward supplies in GSTR1 or IFF. Now, what is the contravention here? What is the non-compliance here? Suppose that for the quarter of April to June, you would like to adopt QRMP scheme. You would like to furnish your invoice details in GSTR1 quarterly basis. But Sir, actually in the preceding quarter, last 2 months, that means February month, March month. For these 2 months, sir, GSTR 3B, I have not filed. Not filed. Now, in that scenario, you're not entitled for furnishing your outward supplies details in GSTR 1 or IFF in the current quarter. So this is a contravention here, non-compliance here. If in the last 2 months, in the preceding 2 months, if you have not filed your GSTR 3B, then in the current quarter, you are not entitled to upload your outward supplies details in GSTR 1. Clear? And the same logic holds good for IFF as well. In the preceding tax period, if you have not filed your GSTR 3B, now for the current tax period, you cannot upload your invoices in GSTR 1 or by using IFF. Clear? And another contravention. Sir, in the last class, we have discussed rule number 86B, right? The utilization of balance in the input tax credit ledger. We have discussed now, sir, right? That you can use up to only 99% of input tax credit balance for discharging, for your output tax liability. Suppose your output tax liability 100 rupees. Out of that 99 rupees you can pay by using ITC. 1 rupee should be paid through electronic cash ledger. So for you, if rule 86B is applicable, now in that scenario, you have to comply with that rule. Suppose that for me 86B applicable, how to discharge 99 rupees by I can discharge 99 rupees by using input tax credit ledger, and 1 rupee I have to pay through electronic cash ledger. But I have not complied with the rule number 86B. I paid the entire output tax liability of 100 rupees by using my input tax credit. Means you have contravened the provisions of 86B. That's it. You're not entitled to upload the details of your outward supplies in GSTR 1 or by using the IFF. Okay, next. Form and manner of ascertaining the details of inward supplies by the recipient, GSTR 2A and 2B, just we have already discussed. Right, sir, about the 2A and 2B. 2A, the details will be updated on a real-time basis. So it is difficulty for the recipient to ascertain what is his eligible input tax credit. Because as and when the invoice is uploaded by the supplier in his GSTR 1, the GSTR 2A information changes. Clear, sir? You can see here, GSTR 2A, this is a statement updated on a real-time basis. So details become available to the recipient for view or download and are updated incrementally as and when supplier upload or change the details in their respective form or return. So it is difficulty for the recipient to ascertain what is his ultimate eligibility of input tax credit. So that's why the department comes up with GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B. It is an auto-drafted read-only statement containing the details of ITC. This is very important point. Containing the details of input tax credit. So what is the eligibility of the recipient in relation to his input tax credit? That will be reflected in GSTR 2B. And you can see here it is a static statement and is available once in a month. For the month of April, available on 14th of May. For the month of May, available on 14th of June, like this. Clear, sir? And yes, it consisting of the details of all outward supplies furnished by supplier in his GSTR 1. Those who, right, other than those who adopted for QRMP scheme. Because if you opted for QRMP scheme, anyhow, you have the option of IFF. That's the second point explained. It contains all the outward supplies furnished by the supplier in the form number GSTR 1 or by using the IFF. Clear, sir? Next. For the first month of the quarter, it is between the due date immediately after the due date of furnishing of GSTR 1 for the preceding quarter till the due date of furnishing of the details by using IFF for the first month of the quarter. And that means, see, for the April to June, the first quarter, you're opting for QRMP scheme. Now, when the GSTR 2B available, what are the details available in that GSTR 2B? You can see the wordings here between the due date, immediately after the due date of the furnishing of the GSTR 1 for the preceding quarter. What is the preceding quarter? Jan to March. Jan to March. What is the due date of GSTR 1 of this particular preceding quarter? We have already seen 13th of the next quarter and the 13th of April. So that means 13th of April till the due date of furnishing of the details by using the IFF for the first month of the quarter. First month of the quarter and the April month. So April month, you can sorry, the day immediately after undercut, it starts with 14th of April till 13th of May. Till 13th of May. So means for the April month GSTR 2B, what it contains? It contains the input tax credit attributable to all the invoices uploaded between these two dates. Between these two dates. Right, sir? You can see here the details of outward supplies furnished by supplier for the first month of the quarter between the day immediately after the due date of furnishing of Form GSTR 1 for the preceding quarter. Preceding quarter Jan to March. For Jan to March, GSTR 1 due date is 13th of April. Succeeding day 14th of April. So starting from 14th of April till 13th of May. Because by using the IFF, you can furnish the details of your outward supplies only till 13th of the next month. Yes or no, sir? Right. So from 14th of April till 13th of May, whatever the outward supplies details furnished by the supplier in his IFF. So the attributable input tax credit will be reflected in the GSTR 2B. Sir, what if the case if any invoice uploaded after 13th of May, that will be reflected in GSTR 2B of the May month. As simple as that. Clear, sir? Next. So second month of the quarter, the same logic holds good. And third month of the quarter, it is from 14th of third month of the quarter and manaki June. So 14th of June till 20, so GSTR 1 kada, till 13th of July. A second month and adi kuda rasiddam sir, 14th of May till 13th of June. So the outward supplies, the invoice details of the outward supplies uploaded between 13th of May till 14th of May till 13th of June will be reflected in the May month GSTR 2B. And between 14 June to 13 July reflected in the June month GSTR 2B. Now, whatever the input tax credit reflecting in this particular GSTR 2B ultimately can be taken by the recipient. Clear, sir? Next. So this particular times they have explained, which I will just now explain to you, sir. Right? Next. The cutoff date you can see here. 12 hours on 14th day of the relevant month to 11.59 hours till the 13th day of the succeeding month. That's what we have seen, no? For April month, 14th April to 13th May. For May month, 14th May to 13th June. Clear, sir? So that's what I explained here also. If a supplier opting for QRMP scheme files an invoice dated 15th of July on 13th of August. So on 13th of August, it's a July month invoice. The details entered into the IFF by using the 13th of August. So then when these invoice details, in which month the GSTR 2B, the invoice details reflected? As simple as that, in the month of the July itself. Right, sir? Because For the month of July, what is the cutoff date? The cutoff date is starting from 14th of July to 13th of August. This is the cutoff date for July month GSTR 2B. And the details entered on 13th of August, well within the time limit of the July GSTR 2B. Clear, sir? So you can see here, it will get reflected in the GSTR 2B of July, which will be generated on 14th of August. Sir, in case if the document is filed on 14th of August, then it will be reflected in the next month, because 14th August onwards, 14th August till 13th of September. Now this is August month GSTR 2B. All the invoice details uploaded between these two dates reflected in the August month GSTR 2B. Clear, everyone, sir? Next. And this particular provision, which we have already discussed, the statement in form number GSTR 2B of every month shall be made available to the registered person for the first and second month of the quarter, a day after the due date. A day after the due date. Furnishing of the outward supplies. So the day after the due date of furnishing of details of outward supplies, 13th day is a due date for furnishing outward supplies. After the due date, what will be the next one? 14th day. So that's why I've already told you GSTR 2B will be generated on 14th of the succeeding month. We have discussed, you know, sir. Next. So for the month of July, the GSTR 2B will be generated on 14th of August, August 14th of September, September 14th of October. Clear, sir? Next. Form and manner of filing of the return, GSTR 3B. 3B, we've already seen. If you are a normal, opted for normal taxation scheme, that means monthly scheme. What is the due date, sir? For the filing of GSTR 3B, the due date is 20th of the next month. 20th of the next month. Sir, what is the case if I opted for QRMP scheme? Then I've already told you it is 22nd or 24th of the succeeding month of the quarter. 22nd at 24th. Right, sir? So you can see here. So in case taxpayer opting for QRMP scheme on or before 22nd or 24th of the month succeeding the quarter. Right, sir? In case of other taxpayers, the old due date continues 20th of the month succeeding that particular month. Now you said for QRMP scheme, there are two due dates, 22nd, 24th. Now, for which states 22nd applicable, for which states 24th applicable? Look at here, sir. Persons whose principal place of business is in the states of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and UTs of Daman and Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep. For these states and UTs, 22nd of the month succeeding the quarter. For the remaining states like Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Chandigarh, and Delhi. It is 24th of the next month. 24th day of the next month. Clear, sir? Okay, next. And these are all the common points which we have already discussed in our earlier regular classes, right? While filing, your GSTR 3B, you have to discharge your tax liability by using the balance in the electronic credit ledger and e-cash ledger. And if any interest, penalty, any other late fees you're supposed to pay, then you have to pay through electronic cash ledger. Clear, sir? And when you opted for the QRMP scheme, under the QRMP scheme also, you have to pay the tax on monthly basis that I've already told you, right? Only returns you can file on quarterly basis, but the tax payment should be done on monthly basis by using the GST PMT 06, right? For the first 2 months of the quarter. Anyhow, for the third month, you will pay with the help of GST 3B. But for the first 2 months of the quarters, you have to use a challan GST PMT 06, and the payment should be done on or before 25th day of the next month. Clear, sir? Next. And of course, the commissioner have the power to extend the due date, right, as and when he deems necessary. Next. So I've already told you for the first 2 months, you have to make the payment or deposit into your electronic cash ledger. So for the first month of the quarter, right, deposit into the electronic cash ledger. Second month also the same. But sir, for first month, my tax liability came around 1,000 rupees. And in my electronic cash ledger, I already had 1,000 rupees. Now, do I need to add one more 1,000 rupees? Not required. If your electronic cash ledger have enough balance, right, to discharge the tax liability of the first month, to discharge the tax liability of the second month, then there is no need to again deposit the amount into electronic cash ledger. Clear, sir? Next. And finally, while you are filing the GST at 3B, whatever the tax you have deposited in the first 2 months, right? Suppose that in the first 2 months you have deposited 2,000 rupees. Your ultimate liability came 3,000, right, sir? So out of the 3,000, you already paid 2,000. That will be deducted. Only the remaining 1,000 you have to pay. Clear, sir? Next. You will get a doubt here. Sir, first 2 months, I have paid a tax liability of, let us assume 5,000 rupees. But end of the quarter, right, while filing the GST at 3B, if I calculated my tax liability, it comes only 3,000. Actually, I have paid 5,000. The first 2 months, I have paid a tax liability of 5,000 already. But my ultimate output tax liability at the end of the quarter is only 3,000. And I have paid in excess of 2,000. Paid excess 2,000 rupees. Now then, what about this excess amount of 2,000, sir? This 2,000 rupees, either you can claim as a refund or you can be use it for subsequent quarters. See, if you fell short, suppose that your liability 5,000, but you pay only 3,000 in the first 2 months. Now the remaining 2,000 you have to pay along with GST at 3B. But in case if you paid in excess, you already paid in the first 2 months 5,000, your ultimate liability 3,000 for all the 3 months. That means you paid in excess of 2,000 rupees. That excess amount, either you can claim refund, or you can be use it for your subsequent quarters. The option is given to you. Clear, sir? Next. Monthly payment of tax that we have already discussed. For the first 2 months, you have to deposit the tax due by using the form GST PMT 06. And what is the due date, Amma? 25th of the succeeding month. And while generating the challan, no, you have to select an option, monthly payment for quarterly taxpayers. You have to select that option. Clear, sir? Next. An option for making the payment of tax, which we have already discussed. We have 2 options available: fixed sum method and self-assessment method. We've already discussed now, sir. Next. Under the fixed sum method, you can see here, in case if your previous return was quarterly basis, then 35% of the tax paid in the preceding quarter through cash will be the tax liability for the first 2 months of the current quarter. No, sir, in case my preceding quarter I have filed the returns on monthly basis, then 100% of the tax liability paid in cash. Examples are given below, sir, here for your better understanding. Anyhow, we have already discussed with the example in our running notes. So in case the last return filed was on quarterly basis, the quarter ending March. Now, for the current quarter, April to May, I would like to opt for QRMP scheme. And I am adopting fixed sum method for the payment of tax. Good. Okay, what is a preceding quarter, Jan to March? how you file your returns quarterly basis. So that means 35% of tax paid through electronic cash ledger in the preceding quarter. Take it. So tax paid in the preceding quarter in cash, tax paid in cash. CGST 100, SGST 100, IGST 500 says 50 rupees. Now a minimum of 35%. 35% you have to discharge through electronic cash ledger in the first 2 months of the present quarter. So you can see here tax required to be paid in each of the months April and May. 100 into 35%, 35 rupees CGST, 35 rupees SGST, 500 into 35%, 175 rupees IGST, and says 17.5. And this is when you filed your preceding quarter returns on quarterly basis. Sir, what if the case if I have filed my preceding return on a monthly basis? On a monthly basis. Now in that scenario, I've already told 100% of the tax paid in cash in the preceding month will be your tax liability for the first 2 months of the current quarter. Check it out. In the last month, you have paid the tax in cash, 50 rupees. So into 100%, into 100%, into 100%. So this will be your tax required to be deposited in the month of April and May of the current quarter. Clear, sir? Next. However, no such amount may be required to be deposited. When, sir? When you have enough balance in your electronic credit ledger or in your electronic cash ledger for the present quarter. You have enough credit balance. Suppose that if you go through this example, now for the month of April month, I have to pay this much of amount. CGST 35, SGST 35, IGST 175. Suppose that input tax credit balance for the April month, CGST I have 50 rupees, SGST I have 80 rupees, IGST I have 300 rupees, says I have let it be 100 rupees. So I have more balances, more than which is required. Now in that scenario, again, all these amounts I need not pay in cash because I already had enough balances. Clear, sir? That's what I explained here. Where the balance in the electronic cash ledger or credit ledger is adequate for the tax liability of the said month. Clear, sir? Next, for the second quarter, second month also the same point repeats. Same point repeats. Next, the second option for the payment of tax is given self-assessment tax. You have to calculate your own output tax liability from which you can avail the input tax credit, and the remaining amount you have to pay through electronic cash ledger. As simple as that. Okay, sir. Next. And these are all the general points which we have already discussed in our regular classes. Applicability of interest. Sir, if I have filed, I have paid this tax liability belatedly. That means, sir, for the April to June, the first quarter, I have opted for QRMP scheme. Though you opted for QRMP scheme, you have to pay the tax on monthly basis. For the April month, the tax liability should be paid by on or before 25th May. For May month, the tax liability should be paid by on or before 25th of June. 25th of June. In case for April month, you actually paid on, let us assume that you actually paid on 15th of June. So there is a delay. You're supposed to pay the tax liability of April month on or before 25th May, but you actually paid on 15th of June. So there is a delay in payment of tax. Now for this delay, you're supposed to pay the interest. You have to pay the interest. Are you following, sir? Right? For the delay in payment of interest. Now, what is the interest? Interest would be leviable at the rate of 18% per annum. Interest would be leviable at the rate of 18% per annum. Clear, sir? Sir, that means whether I opted for fixed sum method or whether I opted for self-assessment tax method, for the payment of tax. Under both the options, I am supposed to pay. Am I supposed to pay? Am I supposed to pay interest? Answer is may or may not. Like, let me explain you with the help of the notes. Interest for delay in payment of tax. Interest for delay in payment of tax. So here, in case if you opted for self-assessment tax method for the discharging of your tax liability under the QRMP scheme. Now, in that scenario, so if you made any default, in payment of tax within the time limit, interest would be leviable. Interest would be levied. At the rate of 18% per annum interest, you have to pay. Sir, in case if I choose in for fixed sum method, then fixed sum method, again, two scenarios, that 35% of tax paid in cash. If this condition, this compliance satisfied, if this condition is satisfied, then no interest would be levied. No interest would be leviable. That means, so for the April month, your output tax liability is 100 rupees minus input tax credit balance. You have 50 rupees input tax credit balance, and the tax liability you have to discharge through e-cash ledger 50 rupees. E-cash ledger 50 rupees. But 35% of tax paid in cash during the preceding quarter comes to 35 rupees. Now, for the month of April, if you pay this 35 rupees by using e-cash ledger, enough. No interest is levied on you. Adenti sir, we need to pay 50 rupees through e-cash. No, correct. Correct. But if you pay 35 rupees, right? Enough, that complaint satisfied, no interest is levied. Even though you have not paid the actual amount. But if you satisfied that 35% tax paid in cash in the preceding quarter, that condition, that criteria, no interest is leviable on you. Clear, sir? In case if 35% tax paid in cash during the preceding quarter, this criteria not satisfied, this condition not satisfied. Yes, here interest is leviable. Interest is leviable. Are you following, sir? Suppose that here minimum 35% of tax, that 35 rupees minimum I have to pay through e-cash for the month of April. Suppose that out of 35, I have paid only 25 rupees. 25 actually paid. And that means I have not even satisfied that 35% tax condition. So then I have to pay the interest for this default, for the delay in payment of the tax. Clear? So when you opt for the self-assessment tax method, and if you made any delay in payment of the tax, for such a delay period, interest is leviable out and out. And when you opted for fixed sum method, first look at the 35% tax criteria. If you satisfied it, no interest is leviable, even though the tax paid by you is fell short of actual liability. But if that 35% tax criteria not satisfied, no, interest is leviable, even under fixed sum method. Clear, sir? Next. So that is what explained in this particular paragraph, sir. And you can better understand with the help of this example. Anyhow, we have discussed that, right, sir? You can see here a registered person opted for QRMP scheme. He actually paid the total amount of 100 in cash in the previous quarter, right? Now he opts to pay the tax under fixed sum method. So that means in the last quarter, he paid 100 rupees. So in this 35% means 35 rupees. Now he has to pay 35 rupees for the next quarter. What is the previous quarter? The previous quarter is October to December. Now the present quarter becomes Jan, Feb, March. So in the month of June, in the last quarter, he paid 100 rupees through electronic cash ledger. So that means for the month of January, he has to pay minimum of 35 rupees into the electronic cash ledger. And what is the due date? Due date is 25th of February. Again, in the month of February, 35 rupees he has to pay. Due date is 25th of March. Yes or no, sir? So he pays 35 each on 25th February and 25th March for discharging the liability of the first 2 months of the quarter. That is January and February. Clear, sir? Suppose that in his return for the quarter, he found that liability based on the outward supply, outward and inward supply. January, the actual liability 40, February, actual liability 42. So January, you got liability 40, February 42. You fell short of January 5 rupees, February 7 rupees. So that means, does this amounts to default? Now, am I supposed to pay any interest? Answer is no. No. Because you satisfied that 35% tax paid in cash condition, no. So however, no interest would be payable, right, for the lesser amount of tax, that is 5 and 7 respectively, because he satisfied that 35% condition. Clear, sir? In case, if in the above example, right, if he is not, he is paid 35 rupees liability, sir, right? So in the last quarter, he got 100 rupees tax liability. So for the month of Jan, he paid 35 rupees. For the month of February, he paid 35 rupees. But actual liability comes 125 rupees. 125 rupees. Right. So you can see here, it's found that the total liability for the quarter net of available credit was 125. But he files the return on 30th April, interest would be leviable. Right, sir? His actual liability comes to be 125 rupees, but he paid only 70 rupees. His actual liability 125, he paid only 75, short by 55 rupees. Now on this 55 rupees, he has to pay the interest. So you can check out here, interest would be payable at a rate of on 55 rupees. Clear, sir? Next. And for the registered person opting for self-assessment tax method, I've already told you, interest will be payable, if any, for the short payment, or for, if any, for the delay in payment of the tax. Next. Applicability of the late fees. Late fees with respect to filing of returns. Late fees with respect to filing of returns. Not with respect to defaults in payment of tax. Not with respect to defaults in payments of tax. For defaults in payment of tax, interest is levied. For defaults in filing of returns, late fee is leviable. For GST year 1, we have seen no 13th of the next month of the succeeding quarter due date. Suppose you have not filed on 13th, you filed on 20th or 30th. Late fees is leviable, right? So if you made any default in filing of the returns, if there is any delay in filing of the returns, late fee is leviable, right? But not with respect to delay in payment of tax. You can check out here. Late fee is applicable for delay in furnishing of returns. Clear, sir? It is clarified that no late fee is payable for delay in payment of tax. For delay in payment of tax, interest is leviable. Clear, everyone? So that's the first amendment in the returns chapter, QRMP scheme, the lengthiest amendment. Okay, sir. So just go through it and ask the doubts if any. Okay, sir. Now let's move on to the second and last amendment of the returns chapter, extension of due date for the furnishing of the form number GSTR 1. Right. Sir, so far we know that the due date for the filing of GSTR 1 under the normal scheme, 11th of the next month. 11th of the next month. Right, sir. And now those who opted for QRMP scheme, we have seen a different due date, 13th of the next month. Clear, sir? See here, the first two paragraph, whatever given, you can just simply strike it out. The reason behind this, you can simply look into here. The above notification have been superseded by the notification number 83/2020. So it is enough to remember only this particular thing. Now this is applicable for your examination, sir. The first two paragraph, you can simply strike it out. Simply strike it out. Okay, now, sir. Right? Because that about two notifications have been superseded by this 83/2020 notification. Clear, sir? Now you can check out here with effective from the 1st January 2021. The time limit for furnishing of the details of outward supplies in form number GSTR 1 has been extended in the following manner. So the registered persons opting for QRMP scheme, the time limit for furnishing of the GSTR 1 for each quarter or tax period, 13th of the day of the month succeeding such tax period. Right? So for the first quarter, April to June, the due date will be 13th of July. Second quarter, July to September, 13th of October, like that. Okay, sir. In all other cases, that means for the people, for the registered persons who has not opted for QRMP scheme, it continues to be same 11th day of the month succeeding the tax period. Others means those who opted for monthly basis, right, sir? So for April month, 11th of May, for May month, 11th of June, for June, 11th of July, and so on and so forth. So now only two due dates for the GSTR 1. I opted for QRMP, 13th of the next month of succeeding quarter. Not opted for QRMP, 11th of the next month. As simple as that. Clear, everyone, sir? Done and dusted. So with this, we have completed the amendments that are applicable for this GST, CA Inter GST December 2021 examinations. In the first part, we have covered amendments from the chapters, input tax credit, tax invoice, registration. In this part, we have covered the amendments from the chapter returns. Okay, sir. So we have covered all the amendments which are given by the ICAI with the name statutory updates applicable for December 2021 exams. Clear, sir? Okay, so after going through this amendments classes and this statutory updates material, if you come across any doubts, sir, feel free to ask me through our official Telegram channel, which you already know. You can search in the Telegram Shrestha for CA and CMA, right? So you can ask your queries into that particular Telegram channel, and soon I will give the reply to that queries, or else you can directly ping me in the Telegram, right? So I'll clarify your doubts directly. Okay, sir. So I wish you very all the best for December 2021 examinations. Till then, have a good preparation time. Take care of your health too. Stay safe, right? All the best, ma.